Go ahead, it's your cow.
And we both mooed all night long.
Ooh.
All right. Well,
Right.
welcome to the Trampled Underfoot podcast show with your host, Mark Lindsay, out on the west coast of the United States of America and on the east coast, slightly down, heading towards the Caribbean. You can get confused like that. Just don't fall over the edge and into the water, and you're in Florida, which is where Eloy Escajedo's at. So, welcome. What's going on, Mark?
Man, just if I knew where I lived, I'd run away from home. It's been a week, but that's okay. We deal with it. We must deal with it. It's all part of being a grown up. So they tell me. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
there's
don't like grown ups. I don't know. So I kind of refuse to grow up.
yeah. I've been noticing something though.
Yeah.
I may be losing touch with certain key elements of social conformity
Mhm.
according to what should be what is expected um, out and about in society because um, I can perceive like I can when I see a person and with a
Mhm.
short exchange, I can gauge where they're at. I think
Mhm.
we all have some element of that.
Sure. Yeah.
You can gauge whether a person doesn't give a crap of what you're saying,
Uh-huh.
or if they're in a rush, or if they're upset.
Or just nuttier than a squirrel turd.
Whatever the case,
Mhm.
any of the different things you can sort of gauge. Now, there is a thing where you gauge and you're wrong
Mhm.
if you overdo your gauging. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, sure. Sure.
That's just an opener. Like you're just getting
Mhm.
signals. You're looking at signals at the beginning. Well, anyways, but there's also another thing where you do that, and you
Mhm.
also reflect back what they might be thinking, and then you think of yourself as what they. You start to not only think about other people's reaction to your actions, but your thinking about their actions in your head, how you will might be perceived in their head in a sort of cyclical thing where where you're turning that lens inward and you're looking at yourself through the possibility of anyways. Long story short, because I delve into things that I do
Mhm.
in a certain way, I'm kind of like I don't have the restraints of like culture, and I do, but I don't really like. I've crossed many lines in terms of thinking. I
Sure.
mean, I'm not trying to say oh, but I'm just saying that like I've thrown caution to the wind in many
Wait,
areas.
yeah, yeah. There comes a point in everybody's life where you go from, yeah, don't say that. Don't say anything. Later on, you're like, yeah, to hell with it. Say it. See what happens. You know.
That's it. That's it. So I find myself being courteous as always. I've always been courteous, roughly,
Yeah.
generally, um, or not even roughly, like kind, like
Hmm.
amicable and courteous and this and that.
Sure.
But I will talk to people I've noticed with no barriers in terms of like I talk to them like if I know them. I say, oh
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, and this, that, and the other, and this and that. And to some people, there's a bit of intimacy happening in that situation because I've done away with any pretension of what they may or may not be or what they may or may not like in terms of
Hmm.
like if they're showing rigidness or this or that. I'm like I scoot all of that to the side and I talk to them as if I'm sitting next to my brother or cousin or something else. um, and here's the thing, that behavior is a line in the sand when you're a young in. You pick up cues and you're like, oh, that's a serious person. They don't want to be disturbed, so I'll just keep it short. This and that. Once you've crossed a certain line, you're like, yeah, I don't. Whatever you're putting out, it doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna go ahead and be the way I am, full throttle.
I'm just going to give you a fair warning that only gets worse as you get older because I I quit caring a long time ago. I'm not out to impress anybody, okay? But I'm I'm a gregarious person. I can talk to anybody. I'll find something to talk to you about. And it's like you said, I can be in the line waiting for the cashier and just strike up a conversation with the dude behind me like I've known him for 20 years. But something you're going to notice, this is something to watch for as you get older, you get a little bit more gray in your beard, a little bit more gray in your hair, is that women, all of a sudden, there comes a point where you are considered safe. You're no longer a threat. You're no longer, you're safe. They can talk to you. And you will find younger women on the verge of flirting with you, almost, but not quite. And it's all based on the banter. They can't do that with a 20 something because the 20 something's going to ask their phone number or something like that. But an old guy like me who's standing there in the pharmacy line with his wife, I'm the safest person they know. And they will talk, 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 and flirt, flirt, flirt. Pharmacy techs up there batting her eyelashes at me and stuff like that. It's funny as hell.
I've got a way around all that. I'm gonna circ- I'm gonna circumvent this
Oh, it'll
cautionary.
happen. It'll happen.
Well, let me get my I got actually setting some. The reason that I was sliding into a
Hmm.
preparatory thing to create havoc,
Hmm.
um, but I'm gonna circumvent
Hmm.
this fair warning of yours because I'll then do something different. It'll be like opening the trunk of the car. Do you like me now? Do you like me?
Yeah.
Or it puts how does he do it in that show? It puts the lotion in the basket. Remember that from
Yeah, puts a lotion on the skin.
no, but
uh,
I
yeah,
I I think I understand what you're saying, that you become
mhm,
safe because it's not like, you know.
yeah. You're not a threat.
Hmm.
You're not a predator. You're not seen as somebody that's going to try to pursue something. So they can do a little bit more talking to you. They can do a little bit of flirting, you know. And it's funny as hell. I had to ask Linda about it. What is it about that? Have you noticed it? She goes, "Oh yeah." I said, "What is that?" She goes, "It's the banter." I says, "Why?" She goes, "Because you're safe. You're not going to ask for their phone number. You're not going to be hanging around waiting for them to get off work. You're safe." Okay, I can see that. So now I just talk smack right back to them.
I've gone over the edge of the precipice. Not there's another many unknown precipices, but
Hmm.
I've gone over the precipice. So now I see nodes in place of people. They're people, but I just see a map of people walking around,
Hmm.
and according to what their limits in their minds are,
Yeah.
or their self critiques and their concerns, what
Hmm.
they have or have not thought about, their biases, and all the different things that a human node contains with them. That's the barrier or
Hmm.
open door that you have in communication with that particular person.
Uh-huh.
So if a person is a closed off person, even the simplest clarifying
Hmm.
exchange could become an issue because their node, according to all the things that um, they sustain in their reality from their view, could see you as danger or
Sure.
conflicted or boring or contradictory or conflicted
Hmm.
or even non-human. Some people just see, because like if you're, I think I read something about this, but like, and we've touched on stuff like this, but like if you're, so when you go to the store,
Hmm.
or like whatever, like let's say a Kmart or whatever. I mean, not that there's any of those around anymore, but whatever, a big box store. The people in the store that are workers there,
Mhm.
and also the other customers, for a lot of people, that's wrong for me to say. Scratch the a lot of people. There is a known tendency
Mhm.
for people to evaluate those other entities, those other humans walking about or working, as placing above their humanity
Mhm.
their job title. In other words, the cashier is no longer or never was. So, like for instance, my uncle or my cousin, that's my cousin. That's a human being.
Sure.
I know this cashier is a human being, but my main categorization of them is the function that they're serving for
Yeah.
me. They're a
Yeah.
cashier,
That's a position, not a person. Yeah.
but
I get
they switch the hierarchy
you. Mhm.
of value from first it's always human. You're always dealing with humans. Yes, the human has a listing below the human quality, which is called I'm a cashier.
Mhm.
True. Your interest is the cashier thing and you're bypassing the human thing. Some people are equal or some
Mhm.
people are like this, but the fact is that each because you have your stuff to resolve and the cashier is between you and the item you're about to buy or you and the question you have at hand.
And going home.
So
Well,
well no, let me just finish off the circle, the idea. Um so some people or not some people, all people in a certain way do that because we're trying to solve our issue at any given moment. But when that becomes lopsided enough, where you no longer, when you exit your house and there's all these people, their humanity is not considered as
right.
top. That there's people like that as well. So
Yes.
you might become the non-human in another person's the node that you come across.
Mhm.
From their node, they're looking at you, and you're not. But like when you walk up to somebody, or when I walk up to somebody at a cashier, or this or that, I'm like, this is a person that has a house with people
Well,
that they take care of, and they have a situation, this and that. Like it does cross my mind, but I'm just buying what I'm buying.
sure.
But I'm recognizing that that's a whole world right
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I was
Yeah,
saying.
that's a person. And that's see, you're coming at it from the same way that I come at it, in that yes, they have a position, but that's not the definition. I don't value a person for their position or their achievement. If you have achieved something great and you're a senior partner in a law firm, great, good for you. I'm happy. But that doesn't define your value. Your value to me is defined by your presence. Your value to me is defined by you as a person. And I can do that and I can say that because I've been the person there on the cash register. I've been the guy behind the bar. I've been the guy in the cashier's cage. I've been the change runner out on the floor. I've done those jobs. So I know what it's like to deal with people who are in an angry mood over something that doesn't work, or they just want to get the hell out of here and go on with their day. Here's $6, give me my items and I'm leaving. Okay, hey, I don't want to be a barrier for you to trip over here.
Yeah,
But so being on the inside like that and seeing things like that, I've never been a server in a restaurant. The only positions I've ever held in a restaurant was dishwasher or busboy. And that was when I was real, real young. But I didn't interact with the clientele very much at all. It was later on in the casino business and working for the Post Exchange store in Hawaii that I really started dealing with people and seeing how people are and how people act. And it opened my eyes quite a bit. Opened my eyes quite a bit to the way people treat people they perceive as being below their station in life. And it's like you're talking about, where you've got person up here and your station in life here. You know, you make minimum wage. How the hell could you ever judge me? I am so much better than you. You know, well, you're being judged every moment of your life, whether you care to admit it or not. So, yeah, Jim Dockrell. Never give the person who is handling your food a hard time. Yeah, exactly. There are three people I don't piss off, Jim: the guy feeding me, the guy paying me, and the guy driving me. I don't piss them off at all.
Yeah, and we all do have shortcomings in those things, but the idea is, I guess the main idea is that we have all these nodes, and that's one example where um, the importance of the person that you're encountering, and vice versa,
Mhm,
could be temporarily switched, or it could be a permanent situation. Like there's people that are um, perhaps more rigidly classist
mhm.
or
Oh, yeah.
ageist, if that's a word. So you
It is a
know,
word. It is a
okay,
word, but and
so
and
there's that too. You know,
and we did experience that in the Army as well, because the most difficult people to deal with were officers' wives, who really believed that because their husband was of this rank, that they were special as well. And it's like, lady, you're a dependent just like me. You are no better. You are no worse. Get your ass back in line. I'm Colonel so and so's wife. Big damn deal. Big damn deal.
so that happened, huh?
Hurry your ass to the back of the line. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a it's that concept of advantage
Hmm.
is constantly with us as human beings, and I'm not denying it for myself as well. At any given point in time, that
Hmm.
advantage is allotted.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, there's variables that maybe that's
Sure.
not going to be true, but like broadly speaking, I'm going to
Hmm.
take the advantage.
Yeah.
You'd rather have $3 than two.
Yeah.
You'd rather have more cookies in the jar than less.
Hmm.
You'd rather have a longer stay at your vacation resort than a shorter one. There's variables that could shift
Sure.
that, but people want more acorns in their acorn dispensary than
Oh.
not, because we seek to build this protective layer of
Hmm.
stability.
Yeah.
um and that's just but with that said, there's also the question of, in given situations, is having the advantage of more, um and it doesn't have to be more like more acorns. It could be more like you're just over the next person, like like you explained. um does the ends justify the means in certain situations? The answer is no, in my opinion.
Right.
Like,
But
if you want,
but
if go
but
ahead.
too many people believe that it is. And there are a lot of people that have this overall sense of entitlement that they can just basically do whatever they want. And because you're that lowly clerk, you just have to deal with it. You
Right.
know, you've heard the customer is always right. I want to swat the person who came up with that quote on the nose with a rolled up newspaper, because it's just wrong. The customer is not always right.
So they did a study. Now I remember the study. Now that you said that, it just popped into my head. This is what I was gonna.
Hmm.
This is why I brought in this whole thing anyhow.
Uh-huh.
But I had forgotten what study. Instead I said there's studies out there. Like I still don't know the name of the study, but I'm gonna just name the particulars. Um, it has been found that, and there's always variables, but like there's a leaning towards
Mhm.
that. If a person interacts with a cash register person,
Mhm.
cashier, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and the cashier offers them a bad experience,
Mhm.
that people are more readily available to judge the whole total of the store
Oh yeah.
through that bad experience.
Yeah.
And so, um, the person, just broadly, because individual situations could differ, because that's
Mhm.
individual, nuanced little situations, but in a general sense, there's a leaning toward that if
Mhm.
you have a bad experience at Arby's,
Mhm.
you're gonna say Arby's freaking. I'm not going back to, and I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to that Arby's over or that McDonald's or that whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But it's not.
Yeah.
But it's not McDonald's problem. It is because their employees should be, I guess,
More respectful. Yeah.
more respectful. But in a sense, the variable of hiring individuals with their different issues, um, opens the door for stuff like that to naturally happen. But in reality, should I blame McDonald's because my you would probably, not you, but another person would probably say, yeah, they should do the fries right. Well, the proper order of you just want your fries, but if you're blaming the whole company, maybe
Yeah.
that's not necessarily accurate, but
Yeah.
people do that because the first
Yeah.
line of representation is the
Is
person right in front of you.
exactly the way I used to explain it when I was hiring at the casino was we have two casinos within walking distance of us. One of them is right next door. Walk out our door, 15 steps, they're in another casino. They can walk across the street from that casino, and there's the front door of another casino. They can play the same damn games we have at either of those two casinos. The only thing we can do that's different from those other casinos is give them better service. That's the only way we can be different is with our service. And if we're attentive and we serve them and we're smiling and we're happy and we're having fun, they will keep coming back. And they did. I so one guy asked me, says, so basically, you want me to act? And I said, yeah, put a smile on your face. You could be having the worst day in the world. Your job is to not let anybody know that. If you got to plaster a fake smile on your face and go out there dancing a marimba, get your dancing shoes on.
When marimba starts to play,
Mm-hmm.
ba-da-da.
St. Patrick's Day, I used to go in my kilt. I put my tool belt on, my kilt, the whole ding dong thing. I got 3 phone numbers the first time I wore it. I mean, it's you try to have fun, but the only way you can differentiate yourself from the store across the street is by giving proper service and giving better service than that store across the street because there's nothing stopping them from going across the street. And if you have a bad experience at McDonald's, you're going to be a Burger King person, and that's all there is to it. You know, you get one chance. You get one chance to be the best damn experience they can have.
Did you shave your legs for that kilt thing so that they
No,
could be nice and
shaved my,
glossy?
I shaved my legs in high school because I was a swimmer.
I got to tell you a story about shaved legs.
Uh-oh.
So I've got hair on my legs and chest and head and beard, and I'm just a hairy guy. I'm not extreme hairy, or that's to say that is an opinion, because one person's hairy is another person's not so much, and then there's these people that are covered to the neck up to here and all this and that.
Yeah.
I'm not that, but I have the hair. Years and years ago, we were kids, teenagers. Um, one day, for some reason, I forget why. I think I was doing weights, and I was working my legs for a time and everything, but like my legs, and I noticed that my legs got really strong and powerful, and I was like, man, my legs are really, but it's being covered up by all this hair. And I shaved my freaking legs, man, because I wanted to see the muscles and this and that. And one day, a friend of mine, I was sitting out in my porch. I had the little tight '80s shorts on
Mhm.
and like the moccasins, just the stuff from back then. So I had these glossed
Mhm.
legs with no hair on. My friend came over and said, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" And he looked at my legs and he sat down and stuff, and he said, and he never really he seemed to have resentment to me towards me. That particular friend of mine, which I didn't feel the same, but there might have been reasons because he might have felt that I took his friends from him and
Oh,
into my that kind of thing
yeah.
because they all started hanging out with me. And
Well, I don't blame him because your legs look killer.
well, it was all about the legs, but but well, no, I did this one time. This is not like
Mhm.
a ritualistic. I didn't
Uh,
spend like the '80s shaving my.
no.
It was just this one time that it happened to be because I was doing extras, whatever. Um, I mean, looking back, it's kind of cringy, but whatever. Um, so he was sitting there. He's like, "Dude, you're." He says, "Dude, your legs are, dude, are you gay?" He told me, and he did that to get one in on me,
Mhm.
to like really because he was raw about
Mhm.
me pulling his which became my we were mutual friends, but they gravitated towards me. We just locked
Mhm.
in as friends, and
Sure.
I would invite this one friend of mine, the one that hit me with that jab.
Mhm.
I would I would invite him over to join in, but he appeared to feel like, again, we were kids, so we're talking about like
Yeah.
teenage kids. This is like, but it almost felt like he just resented me.
Yeah.
Just it just it just like that. Well, anyways, so he said that, and remember, I didn't have the the tools that I would have available now
Mhm.
to just freaking go, wild with rebuttals and this and that.
Yeah.
But
I have a great answer to that question.
I did have I did have one that was pretty freaking great. And this is what it was. Dude, did you just call me gay? I said, dude, don't get offended. It's just a question. I said, dude, were you not there when we were at the beach and I was making out with your cousin in the water, and she and I were wrapped in the water, and your family was standing right there on the beach? And he stopped and he said, dude, you don't have to get offended. And then he left, whatever. And after that, he never much came around and stuff. Um,
Well,
his cousin, which was a beautiful girl,
mm,
um, she was kind of gypsy like, let's say, or I don't want to say gothic, but sort of like mystic like with the
bohemian.
'60s, those '60s skirts.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like she had that whole gypsy
Mhm.
hippie thing going on. She was she was a beautiful woman or girl. Um, and so we started dating,
Mhm.
and but early on, or not early on, the reason we started dating was because we had talked initially, and she said, "Hey, come with me to the beach." And we went to the beach with no family, just us.
Mhm.
And I said, "Let's go to the water." And we went in the water. It was just us.
Mhm.
Actually, that's not true. It was us and this friend of mine. Actually, that's what it was. So it was the friend of mine with his girlfriend, which later became his wife, and then his cousin with me
Mhm.
at the beach, Miami Beach.
I
And
think that
so,
was his problem with you as you were dating his cousin.
Could be, and he didn't like me too much to begin with, so it probably was weird.
It got complicated. Yeah.
Yeah, and really, well, whatever. So
Well.
we're in the water, and in my mind, it was just the four of us.
Hmm.
So she just hugged me like in the water, like in the bouncing of it, but we were like,
Hmm.
and it became this sort of like Hallmark, like Sunday or Saturday evening.
Yeah, the violins are playing and the birds are chirping around you and stuff. Yeah.
And I just laid in on the making out, the hot Florida sun, the
Mhm.
waves splashing us, and like every wave would push us a little bit. Then I bring her back, and we were there. It was a dance. It was an aquatic dance, and we were really like melded together. Like it was almost like borderline. Like I was taking as much opportunity because I'm a kid, and like this is the moment.
If you're
And
offering, I'm accepting. Exactly.
get this, making out like that and this and that. And she says, just to let you know. And she pointed to the beach.
Hmm.
My family's standing right there. And they were all sitting looking at us, pissed the F off
Hmm.
because we were literally having some sort of like Blue Lagoon freaking scene.
Interlude there. Yeah.
I didn't know that the rest of her family was going to be there. That
That's it.
piece of information, and I didn't know that they
And
were
that's a
there.
vital piece of information too. It's like, sweetheart, your sense of timing is really off here.
So I had to walk out of that water
Hmm.
and greet them after I just laid in on that hot little number that happens to be
Hmm.
their
Daughter.
apple of their eye in the family.
Yeah.
And it was so you have, well, you can imagine the kind of embarrassment that I felt because, okay, I'm a kid, we're in the water, we're frolicking about this, that, and the other. But you compartmentalize. So
Yes.
like with family, you're not going to be doing all this crazy.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so it was the most embarrassing freaking thing
Hmm.
you could possibly imagine. It was embarrassing, dude.
Yeah, because every male there wants to kill you.
They won't. Yeah,
And that's just simply, black hood over your head, throw you in the trunk of the car, and they'll find you sometime down the road, or maybe they won't. You know, you really expect Joe Pesci to come around the corner. What am
dude,
I, a
it
clown to
was.
you?
Dude, I
Yeah.
had the travel out of the water.
Hmm.
I can't remember the exact. I can only remember the feeling of like, oh crap,
And
because I
that
don't.
and that and that walk felt 10 miles long, didn't
Yeah,
it?
dude, because like there were like some adult men there of her family,
Yeah.
and I'm like, they're gonna beat the crap out of me.
Yep.
And they didn't. They said hello, but they were guarded
Hmm.
because it's so shocking what was happening. Because
Yeah.
we literally like I
Yeah. I get it.
there was no restraint because there's nothing to be restrained about.
Yeah.
So it was like romance at the seaside, part
And
five.
then, oh crap, there's Daddy. Mm.
Holy guacamole,
And
dude!
four brothers. I don't know. Sometimes you got to be more afraid of the brothers than Daddy.
I
It just
was
depends
just
on what they do.
it was frightening.
And
Um,
you will never see a young man speak more politely than a young man who is dating the daughter of a cop. They are the most polite people in the world when Daddy's around. Believe me. I dated the daughter of a cop in high school, and he and I, we got along, but he knew I'm dating his little girl, so I tried to be respectful. Um, but he was an okay guy. But we soon moved up to Oregon and never saw her again. So it was nothing serious, anyhow.
yeah,
But I mean, but you're a kid, exactly right. And if you're offering, I'm a willing taker. Sure, sure, sounds like a great idea. Sure.
I mean, you know, what else did you have to do back then in the day? I mean, it
Well,
was,
exactly. I mean, everything we did for girls. Everything we did. We didn't care about dressing nice. We knew girls cared if we were dressed nice. We didn't care about haircuts. We knew girls cared about haircuts. We didn't care about cologne or body wash. We knew girls cared about cologne and body wash. If a guy could go a week without taking a shower and get away with it, we would. Nope. We know girls expect us to be nice, clean, tidy, and somebody proud to walk around town with.
I had a friend that was Puerto Rican,
Mhm.
and he looked like a mix between Jim Morrison and Steve Winwood more than
Yeah.
Jim. He dressed like Jim Morrison, looked like Steve Winwood,
Hmm.
was Puerto Rican at least in like his family to one, like he was born here,
Hmm.
but like back in the day he would have been, whatever, generationally Puerto Rican. And he was like a reflection of the 60s in terms of like
Yeah.
um behavior, this and that, and that's the people that I would gyrate towards or gravitate towards, because they delved into the music and other party favors and this and that. It was the wild 80s version. Anyways, he was into all the cool music, um and him and I would hang out a lot.
Hmm.
um and we ran into a couple of schoolgirls. We were schoolboys or schoolgirls, but we both had it in for the one and not the other.
Uh-oh. Yeah. So
And that
which one of you took one for the team?
I did in that situation.
Oh man.
And so yeah, and it wasn't, but it was like, okay, let's talk about normal stuff.
Hmm.
Because I mean, love and attraction and all these things. There's a you either sense it, feel it, and
Hmm.
or you don't,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm just saying that because I remember it. But back then, that's what it was. There was no internet. There was like walking home from school and
Yeah.
you start talking to someone,
Yeah.
or
You.
you meet them at the movies and
Hmm.
stuff like that, or your
Yeah.
parents chaperone you at least to the movie and pick you up,
Hmm.
like all that kind of stuff.
We had roller skating rinks that we would go to and meet people there. Um, uh, Gosh, bowling alley, just wherever.
Yeah.
Record store. Record store. I don't know if we've ever touched on this part of the record store experience. We talked a lot about that's where we found out about music, but it was a social place. That was your social network, was the record store. And you could stand in certain sections and like you see a pretty girl over there and she's flipping through the doors, looking at the Doors albums. You think, oh, okay, maybe she's right there. Have you heard that album? That kind of thing. Start just get a little banter going. See if there's any kind of a thing there. Or this is the skating rink. Couples only, please. Couples only. You want to go out and skate? Yeah, okay, let's go. All right, fine. And we don't go out and skate. Don't know her name. Don't know nothing about her, but we're out there skating together because we both want to skate. And it's couples only. And then you get off the floor and you go, "Oh, my name's Mark. How you doing? Oh, I'm here with my sister. Oh, okay. Oh, that's your sister. All right. Hi. How you doing? Whatever. It's not like that anymore. I don't know that people go anyplace other than online to meet folks. I mean, where would you go today? Where would you go to? I don't know. Where do people hang out?
Don't ask me because I'm not a hangout type of. um you know that's a good question, and it's hard for us to say because we're not in. Remember, these people go to school, these kids go to school,
Sure.
so they would have their own school
Hmm.
events that sort of perhaps create little groups that do things
Sure.
together. So there's got to be that, because that
Well,
we had that too. You
yeah, a
know,
lot of it was situational. You know, the bell rings and you find out that this one girl is walking the same way you're going, and she maybe lives 2 blocks away from you. You didn't know it. You say, "Oh, can I walk you home?" You know. Then next thing you know, there you are. Every day you're walking this one girl home from school, and then it turns into, do you want to go to a movie, or you don't want to go to the school dance or whatever. I mean, but it was always situational, or even just somebody that sat next to you in math class, you know?
I remember um, in school a new like, have you ever seen those movies where they have a the new girl comes into class, but she's coming in the middle of the school
The school
year,
year.
and
Yeah.
she's like, "Hello, this is Samantha,
Mhm.
and such, and say hi to the class, and class say hi to Samantha," like stuff like that.
Mhm.
That happened to well, from it didn't happen to me, but there was a girl that came to class, or sometime in either mid or early of the year, and she came transferred over because her family had come over based on some crazy stuff in Colombia at the time.
Yeah.
And she was just
Gorgeous.
just a knockout and stuff,
Mhm.
and I was like taken aback. It's like, holy moly, what?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I first chance I had to welcome her to this beautiful campus and all this and that, and I just went for, and dude, when I say hi and I started, she was, "You're as cold as ice." Um, dude, she was as frigid as the little igloo that stands right in front of the
Give me my jacket. I'm freezing to death.
dude. It was wildly frozen, and I was like, "Whoa!" And all I could think of was, she's
Okay.
she's no, or she's got some trauma, this or that. That's what I thought. She's got some trauma because
Mhm.
I haven't even made my first move. I'm just, but probably did make my, from her perspective, I was already making that move.
Yeah.
Um, and
Well,
so
hey, dude, you may have dodged a major bullet there, so,
literally,
yeah, because I mean, if the freezer turns on that fast, there's a reason for it. It's like, yep, nope, trauma or drama. Don't want no part of it.
there was a lot of stuff like that. There was a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of stuff like that. Fun times. But anyways, I don't know why
uh,
we went into that because of the nodes and
you
the
were.
the thinking of how we view other people and
Mhm.
all that.
Well, but also misconceptions can happen. Just totally things out of your control.
Oh yeah.
I was dating one twin. She had a twin sister. Renee was the one I was dating. Her sister Renat, and they had an older sister named Bernadette. I was dating Renee, and I wanted to take her to the movies. Renee's mom said, "You're not going anywhere without Bernadette. Bernadette's coming with you." Bernadette had just graduated high school. She's like 2 years older than me. She's supposed to be the older, responsible one. Problem was, I knew Bernadette because I was a junior in high school at the time. So I knew her. She was a mutual friend of a lot of my friends. Well, then Renat pipes up and says, "Well, if Bernadette and Renee are going to the movies, I'm going too." So I'm like, "Okay, fine. Let's all go to the movies." So I had to stop off at my house for something. I don't remember what it was. I'm not going to leave them out in the car. Come on into the house, meet my family. This was the last date we were going to have. Like 3 days later, we were moving up here to Oregon. We were leaving. So my grandparents were down. My mom's brother and his wife were down. We're going to load up several trucks, several trailers, and we're moving the whole family all at once. The Clampets on parade. Mom's like, I thought you were going to the movies. Yeah, I am. I needed to come in and grab something real quick, and then we're heading out. Mom, Dad, Uncle Bob, Grandma, Grandpa. This is Renee, Renat, and Bernadette. And okay, well, you guys ready to go? Yeah, okay, fine. And jumped in the car and we split. I found out about 2 days later. My uncle was absolutely beside himself that I was going out with three girls at the same time, and they all knew. He was just, I don't believe he just went to the movies with three. He's dating three girls. I mean, they're cute, they're pretty, but he's dating three girls. Damn, what a dog. He was just beside himself.
That's
Mom
hilarious.
laughing her ass off because she knew. She knew I was dating one, and the twin always goes with the one. And then older sister was chaperoning. So, you know, but he was just all over that, man. I can't believe. And you know what? It's funny. We moved back up here in 2012. I worked through the same real estate agency that he did. He mentioned that one day. I still remember that time you were dating three girls. I'm like, you haven't let go of that, have you? He said, hell no, would you? Oh, Bob, I was dating one of them. The other two were chaperones because mom didn't trust me for good reason. you know,
That's hilarious. I mean,
but we had fun.
it is impressive.
Well, but it's preconceived notions.
Oh yeah.
You have already made up the narrative in your head. Just because I walked in with three girls, he don't know from Adam's cat. He doesn't know these girls. You know, he just jumped to the conclusion Mark's dating all three of them at once, and they know about it. While the twins I can understand because twins, and believe me, every cliche you've ever heard about twins was these two girls. Sweethearts, real sweethearts. But everything you've ever heard about twins was true with these two girls. You know, it was funny.
You,
Anyway.
you know what's an interesting anecdote that's hinging on twins, but in the 1600s, um, I, w- I potentially come from a situation like that. In the 1600s, though I can't bridge it into the 1800 flat, where my line starts, um, on that line.
Yeah.
My In the 1600s, there were two Escajedo brothers that were twins. Each married a woman, two different women, and had children
Hmm.
with most of them with the same names,
Hmm.
various children. And so it forked out from two twins,
Hmm.
creating two lines
Hmm.
that rooted in one previous parent.
Generation. Yeah.
So, and this was like way back when. So now I can't bridge it because
Hmm.
you'd have to find the documentation,
Yeah.
and I've been trying, and it's just that kind of thing. But you have this branch
Hmm.
that forks, and now you have the possibility of being from one or the other.
Hmm.
It could be from another brother of the parent of those two.
Sure.
You see how that works? So
Yeah.
I'm either from those four that, or from those two that branched that were twins,
Hmm.
or the father of that would be an uncle of mine, and his brother would be my direct,
Uh-huh.
creating another. So I don't know what they're all about would be,
Well.
but these twin. I guess going back to it, these twin situations.
Mhm.
Um, by the way, then that means that one would carry to some degree or the other. If that were so, the possibility, or maybe that's not how that works at all. It could just happen in period with the between the man and the woman having that fertilization
Well.
moment and whatnot, where the egg splits inside all that.
Mhm.
But
and,
um,
and that's identical twins. They will have basically the same DNA.
so that's an interesting thing to just
Hmm.
consider. But um, just imagine that kind of a thing. You could have this whole line
Uh-huh.
that's practically coming from, at least from that male or female or whatever the
Hmm.
combination, an exact replica of the other person,
Yeah.
or virtually an exact replica of the other person
Yeah,
genetically, um, just flowing down the timeline and stuff.
yeah.
Whatever. I just
And
that
and and you don't even have to go back that far to see some of the ramifications. In the early 2000s, there was a break-in at a jewelry store in Germany, in Berlin,
okay.
and they have DNA evidence. They have proof that one of a pair of twins was involved. They cannot prove which one, but they can't prosecute an innocent person.
They can't do the both of them. Yeah,
So neither one of them is, so basically the guilty one got off scot free. They said one or both was there. We have DNA evidence that proves it, but we can't prove which one. They're that
that's
close of a match.
that's a get out of jail card right there.
That's exactly a get out of jail free card. 100%, you know?
That's a great one.
So, yeah.
I mean, that indicates to me that more bank robbers should be twins because that's a
Or you've heard of Chang and Ing, but Chang and Ing Bunker. They were the original Siamese twins. They were conjoined twins, joined at an area of their abdomen after they died. An autopsy proved that they had one. They shared one liver, but
right.
other than that, they were separate bodies. Um, I want to say it was Chang became a bit of a drunkard and was known for causing fights, but he always got off scot free because his brother was innocent.
That's crazy.
He didn't do anything, so they couldn't punish him.
Yeah,
He'd get drunk and start a fight with some dude at the bar. Police couldn't arrest an innocent man. What do you
and you,
do?
yeah, it's just it's
You can fine him, but that's about all. You can't imprison somebody who didn't do anything.
that is
Mhm.
a crazy thing.
Well, there was more craziness going on with that family anyway. They married a pair of sisters, American sisters, and between them, they had like 26 children. And it's like there's there's certain things there that I don't even want to imagine, but 26 kids, come on.
I did research a few weeks ago. Um, I was looking for stuff about Sweetwater,
Hmm.
and I was looking at the newspapers, the old historical newspapers. I was doing a deep dive, trying to find what I was trying to find was an image that I actually have in my computer, but I don't know how I named it. So I can't find the darn image to save. It's like sitting in my computer somewhere. I can't freaking find it because I named it somehow something, and so I can't do anything about that. So I wanted to re-find it
Hmm.
or find it again, and I was really deep diving trying to find that darn freaking photo again because I found it one time
Uh-huh. And then couldn't find it again.
and I simply couldn't find it. So it's sitting in my to this day. It's in my computer.
Mhm.
I just don't know what the heck. I so in any case, I in that search I found a gentleman, a Cuban man in his 20s or 30s in Miami in the 1960s that had his own Malta business,
Mhm.
which is a non-alcoholic cereal drink.
Okay.
They come in little dark amber bottles, and they're sweet. It's a delicious drink that Cubans drink. Non-alcoholic though. They come in 6 packs, and it's basically what it is. That's that. Um, and he was starting a business here,
Mhm.
and so it was called Malta Royale
Mhm.
or Real, Malta Real. And I was like, wait, this is something. It something strikes me. It's interesting, and I searched for the guy,
Uh-huh.
and it turns out that the guy is connected to a very powerful family in Cuba,
Mhm.
in Havana, that owned beer, um, the national beer that became the national beer, and other products.
Yeah.
They owned this building that had interior arbor, ecosystem type things. I don't know what you want to call it, but
Arboretum. Yeah.
arboretum type thing. They had a stadium
Wow.
where people would come and play baseball.
Wow.
It was all this whole facility of making beer, and it was like this whole thing. They also ended up, some of them, working for the Bush company, Anheuser
Mhm.
Busch. It was all interconnected. So Cuba, in so many ways that people don't necessarily, in fact, I didn't know in this way, but the the connection between the Caribbean and the United States, and in particular Cuba, and not just Cuba, but a lot to do with Cuba, is in the 20th century was so interconnected
Yeah.
with the United States that people usually don't. Well, they, a lot of things, but a lot of Americans were attached to Cuba,
Oh, yeah. A lot
and
of
that's
Cubans
why.
were attached to America as well. Yes.
Well, yeah, it was a vice versa, but I'm
Mhm.
saying from the American standpoint, a lot of people from here
Mhm.
lived in Cuba, married into Cuban families,
Mhm.
Cuban families married into them, and you
Mhm.
have a lot of that. A lot of that.
Well, you got to
Um,
figure at the time, Cuba was seen as a tropical paradise. It was a place where you could go. It was a different country. So, some of the more repressive laws we had here, they didn't have. And it's just sand, surf, and tropical drinks, and let's have a good time. And that's the way it was seen by a lot of people.
so that's true. So the interconnectedness with families, people that hailed from Pennsylvania, New York, um, other parts of the country, just, but let's
Mhm.
say, were interconnected because they did that sort of business over there, and it could be anything from what we're talking about now with beer and alcohol and this and that, or it could be, casinos or other things too, electrical, telephone companies, electrical companies,
Yeah.
sugar associations. Like, it was interconnected,
Mhm.
because it's right there, and it's a
Yep.
producer of things that in the United States, that kind of thing. It was an
Yep.
interconnected thing. Banking and all sorts of things. So it was. This is why there was such a situation when Castro took over and this and that, because a lot of the companies were
Just
confiscated,
nationalized. Yeah.
and Americans were basically involved in those companies since before,
Mhm.
and it was a confiscation of something that's counter to the American understanding of how things should
Yeah.
work. Well, you're stealing basically. But in any event, in this case with this gentleman, and I forget the name now, I'd have to look, but um, their entire thing was taken from them,
Mhm.
all of it, all of it. Their beer fat manufacturing, their properties that they owned,
Yep.
just down the line. And what did they end up doing? They ended up here, and many people that were similar ended up being busboys,
Yeah.
cooks.
You do what you
Um,
can. Yeah.
that was the what happened when people came here. There were these people that were magnets.
Mhm.
They were literal magnets of industry, that basically ended up waiting tables and doing laundry and doing all these
Yeah.
things. This was the initial situation that Cubans found themselves coming over here.
Mhm.
But they quickly. But anyways, with this guy, I was looking. I was like, man, you know, this is mind blowing, because I saw pictures and everything. Like it's written about, like, their history, because it's part of the history of Cuba. But then I found something else. They come from a little place in Cantabria, Spain, called Bo de Mortera. Boo of Mortera.
Okay.
If you look at the map of that place, it's a village.
Yeah.
There's there's a handful, not anymore now, it's more developed, but like let's say in the 20th century, like you see, it's
Mhm.
like a few houses,
Yeah.
and that happens to be where my Escajedo ancestor, direct ancestor, Agustin Escajedo, and his wife, Josefa Mir,
Hmm.
had their children, and one of them was my direct, which was Diego Millan
Hmm.
Escajedo, and Diego Millan and his wife Balbina had my great grandfather, and then my great grandfather with Eloisa
Hmm.
had my grandfather, and I'm named after my grandfather's named after Eloisa. I'm named that my father's named after Eloisa, and I'm named after Eloisa. From a village that's deeply, deeply ancestrally, like with legends and stuff in the middle of the mountains,
Hmm.
tiny, tucked away, forested,
Yeah.
uh,
Hidden.
hidden in the mountains and whatnot of northern Spain. These people, their line comes from that place, and I was
Yeah.
blown away
Hmm.
because, well, just because of that, because I started just investigating. I was curious about that Malta drink,
Hmm.
and I said, "Oh, I'm going to keep." And of course, it's Cuba related, but I did not expect to
Yeah.
cross paths with something that connected with me.
Possibly, possibly even related to you.
Well, yeah, that too, because
That
the
being the
problem is,
case.
well, yeah, that's the thing, because there were too few people.
Exactly my point. When you've got a community that is so isolated like that, it's gonna happen.
Well, it has to, because everybody's cousins anyhow, just about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so at some point, mathematically speaking, we don't know for
Yeah.
sure, but like probability speaking, that would be the case. What you just said,
Mhm.
but but I found it interesting, and today they have a beer
Mhm.
and they manufacture here in the United States, and they're like a huge thing.
Mhm.
Um, and they have other businesses and this and that and the other. But I did a little start with a study because
Mhm.
I was curious, and then I said, screw it, I'm gonna pack it all into a thing just to remember the thing, and it was freaking awesome, dude. How that worked. It was freaking
Yeah.
awesome. You know,
Mhm.
I didn't know anything about that.
Stories like that are cool when you discover something like that, and maybe there's a connection to your family, maybe there isn't. I
Yeah,
mean, who knows? You're talking about something that's real far back and nobody knows. I mean, so, but there's a sense of home right there.
yeah. There's a node that
Mhm.
converges.
Yeah, exactly. There's a sense of, oh wow, that's cool. He come from the same little area. That's real intriguing, you know.
You know how I have been, I mean, you personally would know, and maybe some of our friends viewing, because I post a lot of stuff
Mhm.
that could be seen. I self perceive as hugging the edge of the cliff, possibly, because I really go for broke. Um, um, One of the most sensitive topics. This will be safe because it's going to be, but it is sensitive, but not for our situation, broadly, for our circle of friends. So I can go there, although it has implications. Um, you know how I touch on certain themes concerning identity, DNA,
Mhm.
race, and all these things, based on me exploring DNA because I took the
Yeah.
test back in 2018. Um, Oftentimes my critique is based on my country and interrogating the behavior of people, um, at a cultural level that that is deficient in understanding and clarity, assuming much based on tradition, this, that, and the other. We're aware this is not a phenomenon solely of the United States,
Yeah.
because in fact human beings live in the United States just like they live in other parts of the world, and human beings have natural inclinations to not see the forest for the trees,
Yeah.
be one of those nodes that doesn't see people as human first, but maybe a cashier for, like, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. These are human things because humans tend to go for um, secured and assured um, known things that too much complication can create instability, and it just and you don't know where, how do I hold on to this, so people seek clarity in simplistic, they tend to reduce things to something that they can manage. So you have this thing called white European, then you have this thing called non-white European, and maybe you can get into some nuance with that, but let's not mess with the gears too much because it just gets too complicated. But there's a big world out there.
Mhm.
Anyways, there's a group that I belong to that's a Spanish DNA group. It's Iberian DNA and this, that, and the other. Broadly speaking, people in the Iberian Peninsula, particularly in Spain, which is the larger part of the thing,
Mhm.
aside from Andorra's tiny and Portugal is massive, but it's not really the full thing. Is so everybody goes there, but people that go to that group are not only people from the Iberian Peninsula proper,
Right.
but people from all Latin America and other parts of Europe. There's people of Spanish ancestry in Germany, in
Mhm.
France, in just Switzerland, in frickin' everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there's people and have been there
Well,
generations.
yeah,
So
and borders were drawn as late as World War II. So,
no, people
yeah.
also move. People also move for that, what you're saying, because it's just that, but people also move contemporarily
Mhm.
within the last 100 years because they go for business. There may be a reporter, they have a family in Germany, they're part
My
Spanish.
company is located, and now so I gotta follow the company, and yeah, sure.
Yes, so there's
People move
all,
for a multitude of reasons, yeah.
but in our minds, generally speaking, we tend to secure a border around Germany, but in our minds we think that that border around Germany reflects the people, but it's not true. Those two things are not true. When we think of German, obviously there's people there that have been there since time immortal where you can't remember back when, and that
Mhm.
happens to be the majority of the cluster.
Right.
But within that centuries old and beyond history, you have back and forth flow from
Sure,
neighboring places
sure,
and beyond neighboring places.
sure.
So it's not as clear cut, but again, we tend to simplify this and that. Well, in that group, I didn't expect the same lack of nuance to pop up, or not that I didn't expect it. I've seen hints of it, but I pressed back with a piece that I, I wrote, and I translated it in Spanish. I said, "Listen, I explored the idea of genetics and assumptions over race assumptions." I said, look, in my country, in the United States, there's more of a rigid thought behind what race categories are. This may be different than other places around the world that would have their um, definitions that would differ. In our, and I'm explaining in the thing, in our particular whatnot, when we consider the the category of the white race, we're thinking of, according to the census, people that can trace their ancestry to Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. That's the legal, but that's
Mhm.
different than the group or the population's perceived notions of what that would mean. If you go somewhere to California or out to Oklahoma or Minnesota, like wherever the heck you are, they might have a different perception compared to what the United States of America official government
Hmm.
classification of what white race would mean and stuff like that. Um, and I'm exploding that, and the reason I did that in that group is because in the past few weeks I had seen people saying, "Do any of you guys that are Spanish have these same results?" Hey, I'm asking this question for people that are Spanish and this and that. And I and just to tell you what the thinking is that they have people in South America and the Americas broadly, and then you have people that are from the peninsula. So we're starting to see this concept where, no, we're Spanish,
Yeah, this divide. Yeah.
and you people over there are like your own thing and this and that. Um, they're not excluding that there's overlay, but they're saying, no, no, we're our own thing.
Hmm.
And I tried to make nuance out of that. It's true in a sense, depending on how you look at it, they're kind of their own thing because they don't have, um, on average, this native indigenous mixture
Hmm.
that occurred in the Americas.
And
Okay.
the continental, the things that make continental North and South America different from continental Europe.
Well, we're
They're
speaking genetics.
understood, but well, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that this is a genetic group, and the
Hmm.
consideration is that, well, there's all this native, and we don't have native. So
Hmm.
I'm asking for, because that's a whole other situation that happened in America, and I'm asking about uh, us people in Spain. And I have a huge, not, I guess you could say it's personal too, but I have a huge problem logistically with that because it's not true. The idea, the concept that they're working under,
Hmm.
that sort of mindset is off
Yeah.
objectively. And here's why. And so I explained, I said, look, you do understand that the history of Spain goes across almost, or at least their involvement in America for like 500 plus years. You do
Hmm.
understand that that pushes us back into 1492.
Hmm.
Um, and that in that time, all those ships sailing to America since 1492. This wasn't 1876. This wasn't 1705.
Hmm.
Not 1696. It was since 1492. They were shipping that way, but those ships didn't stay over there.
That's right.
Those ships carried loads, payloads, and hauled but back to Europe. It's the
Okay.
very reason that Spain became an empire.
Hmm.
But they also had people traveling back and forth.
Immigrants, yes, because it didn't just go back laden with goods; it went back laden with people as well.
Well, yeah, when people married across
Hmm.
that 500-year span,
Yeah.
if you were, let's say you were a Spanish guy that went to the Americas to work at a certain thing, mining or whatever the heck you were doing, and you amounted some sort of wealth because of your goings on there, and you married locally and you married an indigenous woman, um, and then this is a known phenomenon, by the way, and then you made your fortune and you wanted to retire and you wanted to return to your hometown somewhere in Spain. These people that returned with successful finance were called in Spanish indianos because they went to the Indies,
Hmm.
made a fortune, and came back. So now these people are called the indianos. They're actually European Spaniards,
Hmm.
but their office or their label is their adventure out to
Yeah.
kind of like an Indiana Jones journey and
Yeah.
back with the golden cat or whatever. Um, and then they went and built these huge, wonderful palaces and such, and this and that, and they were called casas indianas, Indiano homes or buildings or palaces or whatever,
Hmm.
and they dot the land of Spain because this was the age of exploration, the age of wealth making.
Hmm.
Anyway, my argument to them is that the Spanish that went over there and married, they now produce children that have native and they have European. Okay. And African too, because the Africans that
Hmm.
went there or that were sent there, or that were forced there, and or enslaved there, um, they also could marry.
Hmm.
And they could marry into any group. So
Yep.
you had all that kind of stuff. But here's the thing that um, they're carrying DNA from Spain
Hmm.
with all that other stuff, and you would think that that makes those two places different. But here's the problem: Spain started traveling over since 1492, but they never stopped.
Yep.
In other words, there were people like my great grand uncles, wait, great second great grand uncles that went to Cuba in the mid 1800s, that were in Spain all their generationally, but went to Cuba in the mid 1800s to make business in Havana, open up shops. Um, I've documented a few of them, and some of them stayed and passed away there. I have actually that documented, but others returned. And
Yeah.
then I have people like my grandfather that left in the 20th century
Hmm.
in 1930. So what I'm getting at is that their assumption, to wrap it up, their assumption that, oh, you people are different. Yes, in many cases you have the distance of 500 years,
Right.
but you have the blood of the Spanish
Still there. Yeah.
introduced there, and then you have a continuation of people. So in other words, I tried to argue that, hey, look, these people are just as Spanish. Sure, the European thing, if you're looking at genetics, yes, they have now a generalized indigenous infusion
Hmm.
and African infusion, just all that. But but a lot of people just kept coming. So you're
Yeah.
thinking of Spanish as if it's just there, but no, Spanish was a global
Hmm.
empire that never stopped sending people over.
Hmm.
So you can't just lock in and ask, oh,
Well,
just speak
just
over
you
it.
guys. Yeah.
So I was trying to make that argument. I understand what they're saying, but I
Hmm.
just tried to make it a little bit more clear, like saying, look, you're basically denying a lot of people that live on this side of the thing that are actually like probably more Spanish than you guys, because who knows where the heck
Yeah.
your answer,
Really.
just because you're born there, like who know, like
Yeah.
obviously that's a little bit of a stretch because you're now charging at them and stuff,
But
but
but you're throwing their projections right back at them, and they're and hitting them in the face with it.
right.
And some
And
people need that.
well, yeah, it's important because it doesn't do justice to the history of the of of what happened, and it's similar in parallel to the United States, to be honest with you,
Sure.
where people have a very reduced, simplistic notion of George Washington, and now here we are watching AMC movie on a Saturday. Like there's all this. A Civil War happened at some point, World
Yeah.
War II, and here we are. And like, but that's not like the
That's
thing.
not the whole story. Yeah.
Right. And especially if you're in a DNA group,
Mhm.
you would expect. So I threw
Well,
that out, and I got pushback. By the way, I got some terrible pushback on.
well, you would think that something like that they would be interested in truth and not prejudiced or preconceived notions.
But um,
But
just
yeah,
well, you would think that, but here's the kicker in all that. I there's the identity thing.
yeah,
So if you identify as, so this guy basically that went pushed back on me, he said, look, um, You can take this is what he said. You could take this to a page that this works, because this is an Iberian group.
Hmm.
And I laid into it, dude. I laid into him terribly. I laid, but not aggressive in terms of like emotional. I
Uh-huh.
gave him facts like nobody's business, and he stopped talking to me.
Yeah. Well.
Because I went heavy with facts, and I said, dude, um, X, Y, and Z, DNA, da 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 da. And then at the end, I said, and who are you defending? Are you protecting yourself? Um, DNA
Hmm.
or the Spanish historical Spanish Empire? Who are you, or Spain? Who are you defending by saying? Because you're not including the history of Spain, you're not including the genetic evidence. Because he was leaning on race. He was saying, "Look, it's true. We are a mix of Mediterranean. We are Mediterranean, but that's it. And broadly that's true. They're Mediterranean. But the
Hmm.
problem is this." And they are me, by the way. That's the problem. So they are me. So this guy is me, basically. My
Yeah.
DNA is his DNA, but I live in the United States. I was born in the United States. My DNA is a Mediterranean, broadly Iberian Mediterranean, but but he's saying that this is something that is different than the Americas. And I'm trying to say, look, dude, there's plenty of people here that that that
Hmm.
that move. Imagine a German guy that decides to live somewhere in Pennsylvania just 50 years ago. I mean, so now all of a
Hmm.
sudden he has no connection to Germany, and
Yeah. He's no longer German. Yeah.
it just, or genetically speaking, in this
Uh-huh.
situation.
Yeah.
So whatever. So that's I got into all that.
Yeah. That's not the kind of group of people that I want to be hanging around. It's like, look, I'm making you're making an argument for X. I'm showing you facts about Y. You have to be honest enough to admit when you're wrong or that you may have overlooked something.
But
If
identity is
you
powerful.
Well, yeah, sure it is. That's one of the most personal things you can get. You take away somebody's identity, and I'm
It's
not
offensive.
talking about their social security number or their banking details. I'm talking about if you have somebody who is Spanish from Spain, and you say no, you're not. You're them's fighting words.
Yeah, because you're taking their. It's an offense to their view of how they see themselves in the world and
Well,
their
it's an
history.
attack on their culture. It's an attack on them personally. You're
Yeah,
discounting their culture and denigrating everything that they have ever known as they stand for.
yeah,
So, yeah, they try to take away somebody's identity. Try telling somebody from Mexico he's not Mexican. Tell me how that works out for you.
yeah. That's a tough one.
Hmm.
Yeah, but if you told me I'm not Cuban, right? Like, let's say you told me I'm not Cuban, or somebody, let's say somebody
Hmm.
told me I'm not Cuban, I would have no freaking problem at all, because the fact of the matter is, it's true. My both my parents were born in Cuba, let's say, or not. Let's say that's a fact. Um, but their parents weren't. I mean, my father's mother was, so you can argue that, but then it splits into Italian. Like, we have known Italian.
Yep.
So what I'm saying is that,
Well, but your father told you that when you were a little kid.
oh, he did, but the point
You're
is,
American. I'm Cuban. Your grandpa's a Spaniard.
but the exactly, but the problem with that is this, for other people, um, the simplistic answer to a
Hmm.
complicated history is that, look, your parents are Cuban, so you're Cuban. You're a Cuban American. Culturally, that can be easily argued, okay,
Hmm.
but this whole other notion of like
Hyphen.
racial this,
Hmm.
that, and the other, um complicates things for people,
It does.
and especially here in the United States. So now you have this
Yeah.
duality. um what is it? Cultural, ethnic identity, this, that, and the other. But if you pushed me on it, If you
Mhm.
pressed me on it, um, my go-to thing to simplify it, my simplification is I'm American, and that's just all there
Yeah,
is to it. Now, if you press, then I'll say, look, my
yeah,
parents were born but their parents
yes,
hailed from so on, so and it's basically a European
yeah,
origin. But if they press me even further, which they won't, because once you start saying that, it's too
yeah.
freaking messy.
Well, it's easy to say that you're American
It's easier,
of Cuban descent.
right? But people will then grab that and
Hmm.
think, what does Cuban descent? What is the ancestry of Cuba? You might know because obviously we don't.
Hmm.
But people all of a sudden
Hmm.
attach it to South America, and then some sort of like blur
And you know what?
of a.
The ones that matter won't do that.
No, it's not about mattering or not. I understand that.
Hmm.
I what I'm talking about is the innate or not innate. It's the banal, um, accepted, comfortable, binary thinking of what everything is. You have so what I'm getting at is this: once complication starts to creep in,
Hmm.
people run for the hills because if you
Yeah,
start creating complication, that opens the door to reflecting. Wait a second, how about me?
yeah.
And once that door is cricked open,
Hmm.
um, it starts getting messy. So simple narratives such as white, black, and Hispanic,
Hmm.
which don't match because white and black are supposedly race things, but then Hispanic is a pseudo. It acts like a race, but it's what it is an ethnicity hiding as assumed race, but it's not. But it means something that it's bullcrap. Like the narrative that's simplistic
Hmm.
is false. The way it's interpreted, the way it's
Yeah.
viewed, it's a false narrative. But you can't take that away from people because people need
No,
simplicity.
exactly. They need an identity.
People
They
need
need a tribe.
right, and it's self worth and this and that.
Hmm.
So but like if you ask me, I would just simply say, "Oh, I'm American," and of my
Yeah.
parents were Cuban, and I did leave it at that.
Hmm.
But the truth is wilder, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Steve says he identifies as an electron. I would have thought a neutron, but
Yeah, um, but that's even more. Well, I wouldn't go to that extreme but I would almost go there to go to the extreme of, or not extreme, to the most reduced thing. Like I said last time, I am an observer
hmm.
because that's really all. They could take you and plant you in China. You're still going to be Mark Lindsay,
Hmm.
or sorry, scratch that. You're going to be you, whatever
Hmm.
that might be. But your
Yeah.
eyes, your window is always going to be the focal point that
Hmm.
examines the world.
Sure.
But you need to start defining things so that you can compare stuff. So you start calling a tree, the river a
Hmm.
river, and you start working from there. But once you've built up your dictionary,
Hmm.
and somebody comes along and says, "No, wait a second, you're calling that tree a rubber tree, but it's not. It's actually and now you start, and then you're gonna say, "Well,
Yeah.
wait a second, I worked real hard to map this stuff."
Yeah. Now
You're
you're
gonna
going to tell me that my life has been a lie, you know?
right, right, and so that's the problem with all these things. That's why the guy attacked me
Yeah.
because I was
Yeah.
upsetting the apple cart.
We're back to preconceived notions and expectations. You said something about following the expectations of society around us. I have always defined expectations, well, not always, but I mean more more recently in the last 15 years. I've defined expectations as premeditated resentments because that's the easiest way to be disappointed in somebody is to expect more than you know that they can do. You know,
At
I'm
an
five.
individual level.
I'm five. On a good day, I'm 5'7". I am never going to be an NBA star. But if you put a basketball in my hand and expect me to hit 10 free throws in a row, you are going to be disappointed. And if you bet on me to do this, you're going to be disappointed and broke. Now you're going to have a resentment that I didn't live up to your expectations.
Yeah.
So I try not to have, I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but we're back to that civility thing. We're back to that talking about human here, cashier there. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but I don't go into any kind of a transaction, verbal, emotional, whatever, with expectations, because that's the easiest way in the world to get disappointed.
I do
You
have an
know?
expectation. I do have an expectation of a baseline amicable
Yes,
exchange.
yes, but you can also read a person within about the first 15 seconds of meeting them.
Yeah.
You know if you can talk to them or not.
Yeah.
You know if you can joke with them or not. There
Yeah.
are some people that you go in, you're all business. You're 100% professional. There are others that you can talk to. They're easygoing and just, they might even bring a smile to your lips.
Hmm.
But you can usually tell those people within the first few seconds, and you don't even have to talk to them
How
half the
they
time.
carry themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Greg has the question of the evening. He wants to know, how did the Beatles fit into your identity?
It fits in a cultural sense where, because if you so if you think of all these things that I've thrown out there, there's a lot of Spanish going on. For me, it's normal because it's coming from my experience. But like for
Hmm.
another person listening to it, hearing Spanish repeated, Cuban repeated, it might sound even potentially abrasive, or at best just not familiar, or relatively familiar. So, in my context, um, I existed in a 20th century where I was the son, American born son of Cuban exiles, and I grew up in a place that was surrounded by Cubans. But the culture was a blend of everything that came from popular culture in the United States, that pulled from England and other places. So I literally grew up steeped in American culture with an additional um, important Cuban ancestry. So the Beatles was fundamentally life altering for me
Then you
because,
got exposed to the rock and roll.
well, the rock and roll. So I would say it this way: I am the natural heir.
Hmm.
This is how I'll say it. See how my mind works. I am the natural heir, apparent
Hmm.
in that era, of everything that the Beatles worked to produce. They
Hmm.
did it for me. Now, I will expand that. Obviously, they didn't do it for me
Personally.
personally, but the intent of theirs was to produce and deliver to the world this magic.
Hmm.
And I took their magic serious, and I internalized it in my way, and I studied it. I read about it. I listened to it. Um, Greg opened a freaking jar of and so, in a real sense, I own the Beatles. You understand? Nobody else owns the Beatles. I own the Beatles.
Well,
It
so do
sounds
I.
it sounds well. Yeah, there you go. So,
Hmm.
and here's the thing, um, that that how the Beatles comes into play in my particular situations, and that is that these things to do with culture are absorbed, regardless of whether you're Ukrainian, whether you're German, an Amish, I mean, or a Mexican down out in somewhere in New Mexico, or just any, or an Italian up in the Bronx. People absorb, but um, this identity thing, which includes all the things, and there's no escaping it. We have ego because we exist. When
Hmm.
you are formed, and you have consciousness, the reason you can even communicate is because you differentiate yourself from the next person.
Yep.
If you had no ego, you would have no wherewithal to know the difference on any. You need to have a plot where you focus, and that's you as a human being, your upbringing, the things you
Yep.
like, and all that. So this forms your ego. So, anyways, long story short, the Beatles, man. I mean, um, to include what Mark said, of course, he owns the Beatles because he internalized it and experienced it in his way.
In my way, yeah.
And when Mark and I and the rest of us and Greg fights it tooth and nail, talk about the Beatles, what we're doing is we're bridging a like definitional experience and definitions that hover around the concept of the Beatles and the music of the Beatles, the arts of the Beatles. We're bridging. Mark and I are bridging, and we're walking past ideas from one end to the other
Hmm.
and sharing that. And Mark is saying, "Oh yeah, okay, that sounds familiar to me. I can see the association." And I'm saying, "Yeah, I can see what he's saying about that." And we're exchanging those packages just like
Hmm.
data in a computer. And then once the day is over, we sever the bridge. But now we have shared.
Hmm.
We
Or
have a collective understanding of where we more or less sit with the Beatles.
mhm. And then I mentioned the Rolling Stones, and that's when that bridge shatters. So, yeah.
No, no, I'll keep that bridge open just to make fun. Look, that's true though. I don't like the what do you call it, the
The
Stones.
Rolling Stones.
But it's not that I don't like them. It's
Hmm.
just his prancing around is the only thing that I don't like.
Yep.
If it wasn't for the prancing, I would be like totally down with it.
So superficial. So superficial.
Yeah, but it's too. He swaggers too much in the wrong ways.
He didn't like Mark Knopfler or Dire Straits because Mark Knopfler wore a headband because he was sweating on the audience.
It reminded me of a freaking like exercise tape from back in the day.
Didn't like Ted Nugent because he wore a loincloth.
It was too freaking It was too freaking Tarzan, dude.
Put on Free for All and let your hair down, dude.
And but when you get something ingrained in your head, you know what I'm
Yeah, it
saying?
doesn't go away.
It's like you're like, damn it, why? And every time he sings,
Mhm.
Mick Jagger, like when I listen to it in the past, when I've
Oh,
listened to it, I'll
yeah.
get into it. I say, yeah, yeah. And I'm driving my car with the cassette on. I
Mhm.
remember this. I'm driving. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, this song is freaking, yeah. And then a little thing in his voice will take me to the image. And I'm like,
Jumping Jack Flash, it's a
damn,
gas, gas, gas. You can't get away from the.
I can't get it. See, and you see how you see you
I just thought he grew up in a house that had doors that were that wide. He was trying to get his way through there. Yeah. I'm with you. I can't watch him, but I can listen to certain tunes. You know, Joe Cocker's another one. I can't watch the man perform, but I'll listen to his records.
and you see that's where we part ways because I personally have no issue with his weirdness.
I see, but the thing, to me, it looks like he's having a conniption fit. It looks like he's having a fit. I'm like, oh hell, is it going down now? Do we need to call 911? Because every movement he makes looks like it's going to be his last movement.
You want me to tell you one that is weird?
Mm,
Elton John, for me,
mm-hmm.
I just did not like the way he dressed, but I excused him because his music was just over the top
Yeah.
awesome. So what happened in that situation was that I was like, dude, why? But I don't care. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But because his music overtook
Mm-hmm.
for
Well,
some reason.
Elton John did that to be the ultimate glam star. He wanted to be the one that everybody remembered. So you look at him out there on stage performing in a Donald Duck costume or the weird ass glasses or what have you. He wanted to be the most over the top. And it didn't serve his music. I mean, he could have done what he did without any of that stuff. He just decided that that's what he was going to be. That's what he was going to do.
Yeah.
You know, in many ways, Freddie Mercury did similar things. he was over the top in a lot of ways, especially with his performances. But he did it so well, people were willing to give him a pass.
No, you can't. There's no excuse. Queen is just beyond. They're untouchable. They're just.
No, I'm talking about some of the things that some of the clothes
Oh
he
yeah, yeah,
wore,
yeah, yeah. No, no. But what
costuming and things
I'm
like that.
saying,
He was
they can,
trying to be over the top as well,
I agree. They can be
but he
forgiven.
did it so well, people just didn't care about any of that.
Exactly. Like that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I excuse it like with no
Mhm.
issue because Queen is just so beyond.
Eh, you wanna see one of the best live performances, look for Queen's Live Aid performance
I've seen it.
on YouTube.
I've seen it.
It's about 25 minutes long, something like that.
I have all the or I had all the VHSs,
Mhm,
all of their stuff, like
mhm.
VHSs, because like I had all their.
Yeah,
I just insanity. I love
yeah.
it. Who's this guy's name from Steve Tyler? Sure, he's kind of Mick Jagger
Aerosmith.
like. Yeah,
Yeah, but no, not really. I can see some parallels, but
I excuse it. I just love
yeah.
Aerosmith.
The funny thing about it, Matt, Lynn and I were talking about this earlier. All of the heroes that we had growing up,
Oh
S
yeah.
Steve Tyler, Joe Perry,
Let me turn on the air.
um
I'm still here. Let me just.
oh, okay.
Cause,
Steve Tyler, Joe Perry, well, hell, all of the Beatles, all of the Stones, although they kinda they have their own little branch off to the side because I think they're gonna live forever.
who the
Uh,
Stones?
yeah, at least 2 of them are, Mick Jagger and I'm convinced Keith Richards died in, like, 1972. His body just is so full of drugs it won't sit down, but, um, was, um I kind of my train of thought left the station. Oh, our heroes are some of them are still performing, but most of them are gone, man. A
Yeah.
good number of them are gone. And is there going to be somebody else to carry the torch for the next generation? I mean, who do the I'm considered a late boomer. You're considered Gen X. And I guess probably the closest I could think would be Doc Hildebrand would be considered a millennial. Who is going to take on that musical mantle of legend when, you know, Robert Plant and the rest of them are gone? We're losing them one by one. Who is going to be the next level legend? It ain't going to be Bruno Mars. Who is going to carry that mantle?
Well, this era of rock and roll, uh, we don't know what the future is going to be, but the future is definitely potentially very, 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 from our perspective,
Mm-hmm.
odd.
It's going to be bleak as
Our
well.
perspective, from our perspective, the future is going to be, from our perspective,
Mhm.
very odd because our known anchor points, what we identify in relation to all this that we talked about. I know that Greg sort of made a slight with the identity thing and all this, and that, or Steve did also, in a sense. It could be interpreted that way. It might not have been, but I discovered this whole concept, or I had a, I focused in on it this year. This idea of, because it's the missing piece between genetics and this, that, and the other. But anyways, our anchor points that we can contrast ourselves and like, hey man, I'm a rock and roll guy.
Mhm.
I'm not only a rock and roll guy, but that's one of my hats.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
The future will have its own things.
Yeah. It will. But is there gonna be there's never going to be another Hendrix. There's
No,
never
because
going to be another Stevie Ray Vaughan.
no, they did it. They're
But
the
but who is going to be the next one? I mean, there were a lot of people that were talking about Robin Ford or oh my god, I can see his face. I can't think of his name. Oh my god. Oh hell, I can't think of his name. In fact, Double Trouble actually toured with him after Stevie passed. Oh my god, I can't think of his name. Anyway,
wait. Say that again. Say it again.
I can't think of this guy's name.
Oh, what you just said. That little scenario.
Um, uh, Tommy Shannon and Chris Layton, Double Trouble.
Yeah,
They toured with him for about a year
with
with
another
him
guy.
playing with yes with this. He was a young guy at the time, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. There was a lot of talk about Kenny Wayne Shepherd or yes, Jim. There was a lot of talk about Kenny Wayne Shepherd or Robin Ford kind of taking that mantle and being the next Hendrix or Stevie Ray Vaughan, and it just didn't turn out that way. I mean, they had the talent, they just never got the following.
Let me interject
So
a. Go
okay,
ahead. Go ahead.
um, but Jim also said that the new um, heroes are going to be like Beyonce and Taylor Swift. In their genre, I agree with you, Jim. I'm talking about rock and roll though, and they are not rock and roll. They're pop and R&B, just like Michael Jackson isn't rock and roll. Um, um, Luther Vandross was not rock and roll. I'm talking about rock and roll. I mean, as long as ACDC is still touring, as long as they're still able to play, they're going to be out there. They've showed no signs of sitting down either, you know.
Let me inject what I wanted before I forget. So, um, to go back to that whole sort of thing that I laid out when I said the Beatles were meant for me. Um, that the culture was absorbed. Um, the DNA of that,
Mhm,
as opposed to DNA,
mhm.
is transmitted through our experience and how we digest
Yep.
the inspirations and feelings that move us and make us think, wonder, when we hear a Pink Floyd or a Led Zeppelin or a Jimi Hendrix or this and that. So I want to really drill into that in this way. Before Stevie Ray Vaughan was
Mhm,
born, there was no Stevie Ray Vaughan, as far as we can tell.
mhm.
He was born at this particular time, and in the 50s, I believe,
Sure.
maybe late 40s, probably 50s. I don't know. Maybe 60s. I don't know. I don't know what that would. No, he would be 70 something years old or something right now. So he was probably born somewhere in the 50s. He was probably born in the 50s. What say you?
1954.
Okay, so he's a 50s.
Mhm,
So if you think of Stevie Ray Vaughan, he's born into the world where blues already exists. That's a fact.
mhm.
This is not speculation. This is factual. It
Right.
can be affirmed. Stevie Ray Vaughan, as far as we know, adopted, consumed,
Mhm,
internalized the blues.
mhm,
His DNA absorbed the musical DNA that came before,
mhm,
not by virtue of his um, ancestry, let's say,
mhm.
DNA, let's say,
Yeah.
but because of what he was exposed to in his surroundings, his older brother Jimmy,
Mhm,
his local town of Austin or wherever he was from, um, and the musical influences that kept being shown on his face in front of him,
Hmm.
and him thinking
And
about those influences and how they reflected what he felt value out of them.
just the style of music he enjoyed,
Well,
the style of music he enjoyed listening to, and the style of music he enjoyed playing.
that's it. He associated with it and internalized it
Hmm.
because it spoke to him.
Hmm.
And this is something of a more mysterious, organic. Is it that he was predisposed internally because of some genes that say that, or because he was exposed and he says, "Man, that speaks for me.
Hmm.
I really, really, I identify with this sound. It speaks my language. I
Hmm.
didn't invent this language, but this language um, is saying the stories that I want to tell, and I want to tell more in that language." And so then
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, you have a Stevie Ray Vaughan that develops
Hmm.
as he grows, and stealing his older brother's guitar and
Thousands and
record.
thousands of hours of playing. He picked up a guitar and never put it down.
Right. So now we have this thing now. So when we see when we see, let's I'm gonna just something that I wouldn't use, but I'm gonna use it now. When we see a white boy, for this example, I'm gonna use that. I don't like
Okay.
saying that because it's too rigid of a thing. I really don't like saying it. But for this cultural phenomenon within the United States, when you see a white boy playing the snot lightning, grease lightning in a bottle
Hmm.
exploded music,
Yep.
that was exclusively
Hmm.
a product of the suffering and struggles of African American people across the American South, exiting from the era of enslavement into some form of
Hmm.
autonomy, with the pressures of the culture pressing down poverty,
Yeah.
um, the
Yeah.
music that arose from simplistic instruments. And when you think of that, and the stories that are legendary in this impoverished
Hmm.
world, that's coming from the soil, and the riverbeds and banks, when you think of that, that has nothing to do in any sense, genetically speaking, with that, those people that birthed that music, other than it was so fundamentally profound for so many people across American history and the world, that people internalized it, identified as it, and they not only identified and listened to it as fans, but many of them picked up instruments and copied their heroes and their inspirations, becoming Jimi Hendrix's and
Hmm.
Jimmy Page's, and just the list goes on and on and on. Steve Vai,
Yeah.
um, Joe Satriani's, Van Halen's, um, and so in other words, you can't bottle um, this thing we call inspiration through music or even art.
Hmm.
It's a magic
Yep.
that creates meaning or layers of meaning for human beings, and in fact, to the point where you and I, in two different opposite sides of the world, of the country, um, we have nodes that we can point to, both of us, and say, Jimi Hendrix, there it is.
Yeah. And there's commonality there. There's a common ground, and we can talk on that for hours. Steve will back me up on that. And but we know the language. We know what we're talking about.
Exactly, exactly,
And uh,
exactly.
there are so many things we don't have to say because we know. I know you already know these things,
Right.
so we can just go off in other directions.
No, but
Um,
when you say Stevie Ray Vaughan, in my
mhm.
mind, I'm already I can already see
Yeah,
I can, you know what I'm saying? Like
the hat. I can see certain performances. I can hear
yeah,
him on certain albums. Yeah,
yep.
sure. To your point about white boy playing blues, BB King said, "I've always said that playing the blues is like having to be black twice." Stevie Ray Vaughan missed on both counts, but I never noticed.
That's great. That's a beautiful. That's a beautiful That's a
Yeah.
beautiful, because the blues really is that, dude.
The blue
Anybody, you know,
the blues ain't nothing but a good man feeling bad, you know? There is trouble everywhere. And you can take a 12 bar blues and you can write a blues song. It's all about the lyric, the call and response, and it has the ability, because of the repetitious rhythm patterns of it, it has the ability to make a vocalist shine and to make an instrumentalist shine, be it piano, be it saxophone, or be it electric guitar.
let me tell you this one thing, and this goes to this exact thing that we're saying here, that we're sort of hovering around.
Mhm.
Paul Simon,
Ah,
one of the most, for me,
Ryman Simon,
significant, important American
songwriters.
musicians of
Yeah.
the 20th century, lyric wise, music
Mhm.
wise. It's He really speaks for me
Mhm.
the a certain chunk of the spirit of America.
Mhm.
Um, he tells stories. Anyways. He was harangued,
Mhm.
beat up for his choice to go to South Africa
Africa. Yeah.
and hire musicians to create the accompaniment for his
The Graceland album. Yeah.
monumental, in
Mhm.
my opinion, monumental album,
It,
Grace.
it, they were all pissed off that he went to they weren't pissed off that he wanted to use South African musicians and singers. They were pissed off that he wanted to go record there at certain studios. And this was in the time of apartheid and what have you.
No,
And
and they also didn't like the cultural appropriation situation.
right.
They did not like that because here you have an American artist, but this is why I wanted to go there. The cultural appropriation situation. I have a huge problem with that notion because music doesn't have, it can have a border in terms of it started in a region,
Hmm.
but music, just like painting,
Hmm.
um, even lyrics,
Hmm.
it falls into the category, or stuff like photography and this, that, and the
Hmm.
other, like all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Um, the thing about that is that these things fall under the category of language. So if you think of the English language,
Hmm.
it started in England. It developed from other sources,
Hmm.
but it was codified in English, and it was named as such in England, and it then bubbled and spilled over England and out into the world.
British Empire. Yeah.
And so now, like, let's think you have someone like in, like, let's say Jamaica, they're using the tool that spilled over in
Hmm.
the Caribbean to write
Yeah.
songs or poetry, this and that. Or
Hmm.
you have somebody in somewhere in the middle of Mississippi,
Hmm.
like Van Dyke Parks, writing beautiful um, Southern imagery of America.
Hmm.
Um, he was the writer for the Beach Boys during the um, not the Pet Sounds, but the other one,
Smile.
the Smile.
Hmm.
He wrote Beauty. And yes, you can argue Van Dyke Parks. Well, actually, he would probably be Dutch or something, or but whatever.
Yeah.
The point is not that. The point is that language is um, equal across music. It's a language boat that
Yeah.
sails across other places.
Well, to kind of oversimplify to your point, I know I've always thought cultural appropriation was ridiculous.
Well, yeah, if you like something,
That
you like
yeah,
something.
exactly. I've always thought that was stupid. That was ridiculous. And the argument specifically about Paul Simon. Are you telling me that some guy from Italy cannot write an Irish folk song? Are you telling me that some guy from Germany can't write a pop song for America? You're telling me that a group from Germany can't have top 10 hits? I'm talking to you, the Scorpions. If you like something, you like something.
That's
Okay,
it.
number one, you cannot help who you like, what you like, who you love, what you love.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing
You are
to
you are
attain.
choiceless. You are choiceless. If you love something, that's it. If you hate something, you can learn to tolerate it, but that's it, you know?
Right. So there's the notion of this music, because we're really talking about
Mhm.
language, but like let's focus on the music.
Yeah.
Um, if you are in Italy and you're like totally for you heard a BB King freaking
Mhm.
album because it was loaned to you because some kid came over on a
Mhm.
vacation, whatever, like, or they heard it on the internet nowadays,
Mhm.
or they had it in the record, whatever, and just the guy identifies with the darn he it just touches, and then he
Yeah,
starts writing.
exactly.
This is a great, but here's the thing about all that, and there's various combinations that at the same time, why is it important for us to claim or state
Mhm.
that that is the case? And the reason why is because we understand, whether we've said it or not, because we
Mhm.
haven't said the reverse necessarily, that there's people that think the opposite.
There are, and to their loss, to their loss. If you know, I'll just say it. People, if you're looking for offense, you'll find it. If you're looking to be offended, you're gonna be offended. But if you have to sink to that level, I submit it's your problem and not Paul Simon's.
Yeah,
You know.
there's other there's other like Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison, my goodness, dude.
Mhm.
I mean, he was only 27, I think.
Yeah, one of the founding members of the 27 Club. Him, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin. Those three.
It was him, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. That's
They were
it.
the founding members of the 27 Club. There were several after that as
Yeah,
well.
there was also Kurt Cobain later.
Mhm. It almost got Alice Cooper twice.
Um,
Um,
if you think of Jimmy, um, um, what was it? Jim
that
Morrison. I said Jimmy. And if you think of Jim Morrison,
mhm,
he was only 27 when he was coming up. He was from
mhm,
Florida.
yeah,
But when he was coming up, um, just I mean, I wasn't there, but I've read biographies and stuff. But he, as a kid, unlike other kids, because they had their thing, he read all these weird books that kids shouldn't necessarily you'd expect them to read,
yeah,
like Nietzsche and whatever.
mhm,
And this stuff started going into his brain. It was his journey.
mhm,
And then when he went out to LA because he wanted to do film, all that reading stuff and poetry stuff matched what was his name, the organizer of it, the keyboardist, Manzarek.
Ray Manzarek, yeah,
Ray Manzarek said, "Holy smokes," because Ray Manzarek
mhm,
was he was the brain of organizing things. He saw Jim Morrison. He said, "These lyrics are bad to the bone, dude." So, anyways, you can't control these things. So what I'm getting at is this: Jim Morrison's early works came
mhm,
from freaking Germany and from like
yeah,
not his works, but what he was consuming came from across the ocean.
yeah,
But he's an American living someplace in Florida,
yeah,
Melbourne, I think.
yeah. I mean, and that's what I say. You cannot help. You can't control who you love. You can't control what you love. You can't control music you like, that you resonate with, that you identify with, that you feel is yours. It's like you said, the Beatles, they were writing that for you. That
Yeah,
was your music.
from my world.
Exactly. And you're 100% correct. They were writing that music for you in the mindset that you were in at the time, and you've carried that with you for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So, you know, uh, and you can't help it. You didn't make a conscious decision to do that.
No,
So,
it happened.
And if you identify with mariachi, if me and three other my neighbors decided to form a mariachi band, it ain't nobody's business but ours.
No, some
Because I
people
can
might.
some people might, but I've got if you want to get on about cultural appropriation, let's get stupid. You want to get stupid about cultural appropriation?
Yeah,
Let's frickin' party. I'm Scottish. I wear a kilt. Every woman wearing a skirt is appropriating my culture. Take them off.
yeah, but you know what's powerful about that narrative of cultural appropriation
Mhm.
is that it falls into the way it's been used in our latest
It's been
iteration.
weaponized. It's weaponized.
That's the problem. So, like, let's say one thing is, so it's like it's okay. It's like this: if you were to go to Mexico,
Mhm.
there shouldn't be all this baggage where you walk into a store and you're like having a great old time. Linda and you are having a great old time. Let's say, forgive me for using the example, but it could be anybody. But like, let's say, and you're having a great old time. And you're just visiting the sites and you want to look at pyramids and you're enjoying. And then you walk into this thing and you got the stucco beautiful, and you see this freaking like what are those things that they wear? Those bandana type.
Serape.
It,
Serape.
it's like some sort of with
Yeah, serape. Yeah.
and you see them there and you're man, you know what, just and the weather's nice for it and stuff, and I feel excited, I'm exploring, and it should be a thing that you grab and you, and it should not in your, and you're enjoying your stuff the
Mhm.
way the hell you want to, and you should be able to walk out that door and be like oh yeah, I'm enjoying, this is my trip, man. And then
Mhm.
there shouldn't be some person saying, oh wait a second, because one
That's
thing,
my culture. It's not a costume. Yeah.
right, because all of a sudden
Mhm.
they're denying a person's exploration of said culture,
A person's love for that culture.
their love for that culture, or exploration. Or
Mhm.
let's say they don't have, man, I don't know about this, but I'm gonna buy this and I'm gonna wear it and see how maybe tomorrow.
This is cool. I like it.
The ability to try it out
Mhm.
when it's a cultural thing, all you're doing is exploring, and this should be foundational human like what, but
Mhm.
weaponizing that, like you said,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it's a little bit.
And that's why I give it the disdain it deserves. And I try to ignore it if it's at all possible, simply because I think it's a bunch of BS.
But you know why they do that though?
Yeah, because they don't like something that you're doing. I don't know. Maybe they're projecting their own insecurities on you. I
Because
don't know.
they're taking their notion of race and ethnicity and
Mhm.
nationality of you or the next guy.
Well, I have the right to wear whatever I want to wear. You do not have the right to put your nose into my business.
But
So
let
how
me,
about you just F off and shut the F up?
well yeah, but let me name it flat out. They're
Mhm.
saying that, they're saying how dare you, but here's the thing about that. That in itself
Mhm.
is
Well, who the hell do you think you are?
well no,
Number
but
one.
that in it, but them going down that avenue is a
Mhm.
fallacy, because doing that to a person based on, be it their looks, nationality, or ethnic whatever
Yeah.
considerations, or language, or
Mhm.
anything, doing that, what they're basically doing is they're basically taking this globe of bigotry and
Mhm.
splashing. What they're doing is they're judging
Mhm.
an individual or a couple or even a little group vacationing somewhere based on their
Skin color.
well, not only skin color, language,
Mhm.
national, all these things, but they're saying I have these preconceived ideas, and I'm going to go ahead and and
Yeah,
launch it on your ass, to do some virtue signaling type thing.
sure.
They're messing with
Well,
people's ability to explore and enjoy. They're messing
and
with.
well,
Go ahead.
but the thing is, they don't even realize that they're the punchline to a joke they don't get
No, they're
because
they're harmful.
they can be in mass, yes, but they don't realize that they're not virtue signaling, they're stupidity signaling, because the whole damn premise is ridiculous. The whole premise is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, you should be
Now
able to buy a
it's
sombrero and
it
enjoy
is it's 2020. If yeah, if you want to buy a sombrero and wear it, that's your business. Um, it's
it.
2025. I think the era of blackface is over. I think we can all agree on that.
Oh, you threw a curveball right there.
I think we can agree on that, that that is disrespectful. I
Yeah.
think if you are, but it's context. It is 100% context driven, because I can't think of a good context for that. If you are doing a movie that is showing how stupid that is, or how racially insensitive that is, maybe. But hiring some dude to put on blackface and do a tap dance for your down at your local VFW, no, no. I mean, it's 2025. Come on, man. That's not, you know,
Well, I mean that kind
but
of thing is, but I don't want to take it there. But I well, go ahead. You were gonna say something.
by the same token, it's also not a cool thing for me to put on a deerskin skirt, for lack of a better terms, put war paint on my face and two eagle feathers on my. It ain't right. It ain't right. Even though I have Lakota ancestry.
You're literally, um, by having that branch,
Mm-hmm.
if you were to judge by if by well your
If
ancestry, you would have every justification. If you were to judge in that respect,
right
you would have every
now,
um
now, if I was making a mockery of that,
that changes things.
that changes everything. You know, if I was, if I wore a Lakota uh, dress, celebratory dress, respectfully and in the proper place and time, it'd be 100% fine.
Right.
If I was lampooning it or making a mockery of it or making it the butt of a joke, that's completely different.
Let me add this to that. What people don't understand that have that narrow thinking,
Mhm.
that biased thinking, let's call it. Worse could be said. Worse could be said about that. We can define it in other terms, but we all know. But
Sure.
let's just call it the narrow thinking. The
Hmm.
problem with these people that they don't see is a huge problem, and here's what it is:
Hmm.
if you believe that your particular group is special, above and beyond, um, above and beyond, in contrast to other groups based on immutable
Hmm.
characteristics and origins, things. If you're in that game,
Yeah.
um, and there's a gradient of that because some people have some bias, some people have extreme
Yeah.
bias. Like you could be burning crosses
Yeah.
all night long, but some people just have subtle because it's a cultural thing.
Sure.
We come from the past, so it's not like so it's natural. But what these people don't know, every time they try that you just said,
Hmm.
where they use an instrument against someone from
Hmm.
another group
Hmm.
and they practice that
Hmm.
in order to let the other people know what their place is and stuff like that. What they don't realize is that even though it feels good at the moment that they're showing that, hey, we're better and you guys are like
Hmm.
not so much, what they're doing is they're preparing the conditions for future of their people to be judged by the actions that they're doing. Because
Yeah.
what happens is that now you've introduced in the minds of other people that are not like you the idea that people like you think that way about them, and they
Hmm.
go and tell their people, and it grows and grows.
Yeah.
And so in the future, you could have a situation where you have someone that's part of your tribe
Hmm.
10, 20, 30, 40 years from now,
Hmm.
based on that one episode, sitting at a bus stop, and then some person from that other grouping sees you, and because of all this
Hmm.
baggage, they come and whack somebody upside the head for no
Yeah.
reason other than they fit the bill that
For
you
that
were
group.
told.
Hmm.
You see how that works out.
Yeah, I do. I do. So, well, anyway, since we've solved the world's problems, why don't we go ahead and land the plane?
Okay,
It's a good time to take a break.
okay, okay. But just to wrap that up, because I don't want to forget that point, because I
Mhm.
did that on the fly. Um, 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 the consequences of our behavior today, and it could
Yep.
be, when we treat poorly another person, and it doesn't even have to be about that, but like, let's say just broadly,
Hmm.
we're laying seeds, because if you represent a company, just like we started off with, and you're the face of the company and you treat your customers bad, the repercussions of that is that people are going to walk away thinking that, well, wait a second, this is not good, and that's going to build
Hmm. And
to
it
the point,
starts with you had a bad experience. Now your whole family don't go, and then they tell their friends about it.
and it just
Yeah.
spirals out of control.
Hmm.
So I thought that was a good point. Man, that was a good cycle. Damn, that was all right. In any event,
Okay.
all right. So we go live every Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific Coast time here on the Trampled Underfoot podcast show, um, and we also have a Facebook page, and you can go check that out. We oftentimes post images and links to the things that we talk about. So that's pretty cool. You can go check that out. We also have a website, and that's trampledunderfootpodcast.com, where you can catch our past episodes over there. And we're also sponsored by.
Okay. Wait a minute. I got to push another button here. Hold on. Hold on.
Darn, I went too
Turn
fast.
that off. No, no, no. It's not you. Man, that's slow. Harneal Media. Harneal Media is not slow. They're very fast, as a matter of fact. And you know why they're fast? Because you get 100% personalized service with Harneal Media. When you talking with Harneal Media, you're talking with Steve, not some nameless, faceless person in a call center that you're never going to talk to again. So, if you're even toying with the idea of a website, maybe you want to set up a web store to offer your products or services to the public at large, you owe it to yourself. Do yourself a favor. Head over to harnealmedia.com, click that contact us button, and shoot Steve a message. He'll work with you. He'll work with you. If you know what you're doing with the website and just need him to take care of the back end, he'll do that. If you're like me and have no clue what you're doing and you need a little bit of extra help, he'll take care of you. That's Harneal Media, HARNEAL media.com, sponsor of Trampled Underfoot Podcast.com.
I timed it. I timed it.
Well, never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
No, because sometimes it sounds,
I'll purposely hesitate.
yeah,
Because
it messes my
I
stuff up.
because I know you got your finger on the trigger.
Because I enjoy it. And you know what? I've not touched. Just last thing, I've not messed with. Although I enjoy it, but I felt like it's not appropriate. Just on the in the context of leaving the ending the show. But I love that little bewitched sound.
Hmm.
But it's only good for mysterious stuff. So
Oh,
I've not
you're
used it.
talking about, yeah.
That's my
The
favorite. I
it's
love
it,
it.
the title of that is Magical Twinkle.
I love it. I love it. All right, guys. You're such a game show host, like the guy that monitors the
That's
button.
me.
You'd love that, wouldn't you?
I would be
All
the
right.
announcer backstage, never on camera. That's me.
All right, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Have a great week. Be safe and just enjoy yourselves. We wish you all the best. Good things always. We'll catch you next time, right here, same bat channel. Peace out.
Peace mundo.